How Yeah, I thought he was 22. How old which I guess it's only 2 years off, but to me, that, like I feel like that's a big difference. But they also, like they've been getting younger and younger as which makes sense because it's getting like, the competition is getting stronger, it's getting more specialized. Um, Before you had to like, when Sir Jackie talks about you had to, like, pay your way in basically initially, and then, like, if you were good, maybe you could make, like, some money. Oh, I hate being wrong. Now I'm mad at him even this poor child is an op of mine for no reason, and now I'm like, "Oh, like, I hate being wrong," so now I hate it even more. Probably he could I mean, he could've here's the thing, he could've demanded it, but also, like, would they have given Bono to him? And I also feel like that's a very socially in that moment, probably. I That's true, I bet it is. Well, and also that's a crazy thing to do to someone that you have, like, a very close personal relationship with. I mean, yeah, it's business is business, but that's easy to say until you gotta say it to someone's face. I also don't think it's like, no offense, but like, that's not the reason you're P7. Like, what the fuck is going on, George? Like, why can't you qualify? You're good at that. That's more of a race thing. And in terms of, like, analyzing the track, like, this is where you need to this is like, whatever. Yes, I do agree with that. Yeah, you should've but also, like yeah, I but the whole thing is so wild, like, I've never seen a turnaround like this, even from someone's rookie year, even from someone's rookie year. Well, that's the thing, usually, I've seen turnarounds maybe in terms of, like, the points, like, "Oh, okay, like, now they're beating their whatever," but that's the thing, like, it wasn't like a Seb thing where it was like, oh, like he like crashed out 3 times and like did all this crazy shit, but he also like got into Q3 like 4 times. There was no like flashes of but also I wonder maybe it is the adaptation period more real than it used to be in terms of raw speed because of how much you just have to memorize the buttons and, like, the motion and the rhythm of, like, all of the tweaks that you have to make throughout the lap. No, I know. I'm very sorry for your suffering because, this is also, like, your main like, I'm incredibly lucky that I'll always have Seb. And to be fair, when I first started liking Seb, it was, like, but it was also pretty clear, like, he was, like, about to win it. It was 2009, he was, like, about to win a championship, you know what I mean? But the yeah, but I also loved Nico, and he's flopping like a fish. He is flopping like a fish. I Yeah, that is unfortunate. I Yeah, yeah, I will say I will say Charles I know. Charles is, I will say, like the ultimate test of this, but I do feel bad because I have been incredibly blessed as a sports fan in general. Like, number one, I was born in Boston at the exact time, not in actual Boston, but as a Boston sports fan, at the, I was actually born in California, at the exact time that I was. And then I also like I fell in love with Seb. He became Sebastian Vettel. I always Lewis was already, I will say, like he had already won a championship when like I got into Formula One. But I also loved Nico. And then I came back to Formula One in 2020 and I had seen all of like obviously the Seb Ferrari experience didn't go well, but like Lewis was Lewis, Nico had won one. I was like, damn, like it all worked out in the end. No, I mean, obviously not really with the Lewis and Nico Vidal, but like I was like, everybody had a happy ending. Ferrari, this might be a case of the immovable force versus the unstoppable object because, or whatever, I switched those up because I don't know if my like sports fan luck is enough to overcome like the curse that Ferrari is under. But the thing is, even if Charles ends up being Jackie X, I'll always have Sebastian Vettel. It will break my heart, don't get me wrong. And like I have real life anxiety about it, which is incredibly stupid. I wish I could genuinely believe that, but I've just been hurt by Ferrari so many times. Don't give a shit. I'll take a win is a win, baby. I will be dancing in the streets of Maranello. I'll never forget in 20 this is like the saddest thing I think ever and I talk about it all the time but I don't care is literally in the beginning of 2021 Dev and I so serious. We're like we I don't care that we're are we oh yeah 2020 no and that makes it even sadder because like why were we saying this in 2025? We were like, we're gonna when Charles wins the championship, we're gonna dance in this like we're just booking a flight. And I don't even know if they do parades like they do in America, but I was like, we just have to be on location. Like we gotta go. The delusion, the sad. Oh, so Charles is gonna win the best and most competitive season of Formula One of all time, where he had to beat four other world champions to do it. Pull my I think I will say I think his best bet is you're not wrong in that his best bet is a 2010 like season and that there are like three or four different teams that are competitive. So it's not quite so much a zero sum game that like so he can you'll be able to absorb Ferrari's fuck ups a little bit better than that because there will be weekends when like you will just it's not as much of a it's not like when it's a 1v1 like Lewis and Max there's yes it's like you didn't just lose those points now it's a net gain for the other person because there's only two of you right it makes it makes it a little bit easier to absorb those blows. Now, that being said, it also presents a real challenge because the weekends where you are the fastest car and you do know that you need to maximize, there's no room for Ferrari tomfoolery, right? Oh, he just fucked up and he aborted it. No, no, and I mean Charles had a good lap. Like it's not like I don't know. I think he was just trying to try something crazy because he knew they didn't really have the car to beat the Mercedes. But no, he tried to set a banker lap. He like wiggled a little bit and then he bailed out of it. I would just like to take a moment to stand and thank you because you did tweet about this at the beginning of this season. I may have been wrong on my Kimmy Antonelli take, but I was right on my Lewis on unstable cars just don't sit right with Lewis Hamilton's spirit take. He's just a diva. He doesn't tolerate that shit. As he should. Yeah. Also, like again, I said this when Lewis was. What was the gap? Like, it's really like okay, so he's like a tenth off. I don't think that Charles being like slightly behind, like it's almost like Lewis Hamilton is a really good F1 driver. I would love to. I've always said, like, I think a championship fight between them would be really good and really close. I think Charles has a pretty good chance of coming on out on top. I think I would like to say that, like, oh yeah, I know Charles is gonna be like win that is crazy town behavior. I wouldn't say that if he was fighting Max or any other champion who I respect. But again, like I don't think it's that does mean that he's like people like Charles washed. I'm like, I don't know. I think that they're both just really good teammates, and it's gonna be kind of I think people just aren't used to seeing teammates that are like close to each other's level. Lewis and Fernando were a good team. No, but here's the thing: Nico wasn't better than Lewis, but Nico was good enough to make it interesting. Which who else? Who's it given that around here these days? Not many people. Lando and Oscar, except for it's just a middle. Uh, if I yeah, I think if you gave me truth serum, that's probably what I would tell you. But like, I can't even admit it to myself. You know what I mean? He locked in when he needed to, and I must give him credit for that. And I will say again, well, yeah, obviously Max is night and days more talented than either of them. That's not really a conversation. No, I think Max. I okay. This is this is the craziest thing I've said. fuck off. The I this is gonna be crazy, but I genuinely, and I've said this before, I think that that season was probably Max's most impressive season. He had some crazy drives in some crazy cars, and he was pulling shit. And also, he was bringing the plot. Like, I'm sorry. Like, to me, what he did that season, and it's not his fault. It's not like, oh, like he's winning by 20 points. That doesn't take real skill. We know that it takes real skill to show up and qualify like that and pull that gap week in and weekend out. And not everybody can do it. But I think it's a much more like like his skills are on display so much more in a season like last season than they are when he's cruising around, you know? Oh yeah. I mean, both he and Lewis, I will say, I 21 is by far the most impressive. Both he and I think it's up there with Lewis's most impressive seasons too. They were both almost like it was a genuine exercise in like that you don't appreciate until you watch the McLaren title fight, until you watch a sloppier title fight where you're like, they both were on point like each and every weekend and like would not give the other person a fucking inch to the point where when one of them made him, you know what I mean? It was like this whole, it was very impressive. Right. I would say that again, I think the two incidents cancel each other out, and I also think the tendency of both Max and Lewis fans to look at the other and be like, "Murderer, dangerous, like, crazy driver." I'm like, "You those 2 are cut from the same motherfucking cloth." And they are it's also, I've seen, like, the ancient text, which is, like, the 2011, 2012, and 2013 seasons. More so 2011 and 2012 when Lewis was at McLaren, and they were just, like, they weren't totally flopping, but, like, things were kind of falling apart, and you can just see the exact moment where midway through 2011, where Lewis Hamilton stops giving a fuck, and he starts battling Michael Schumacher for P8, like, like, the 2 of them are, like, coming down the front straight at Monza. They were crashing each other out over nothing, and it was amazing and hilarious, but I get why why this is happening, but the people who try to are like, Lewis Hamilton is like a perfect angel who's done nothing. He's such a clean. It's just like a transparent attempt to like use F1 to like in your weird moral superiority complex. But also to me, it's so infantilizing and low key like in a way to people that like actually understand the nuances of Formula One. You're putting down Lewis Hamilton's skills as a driver by doing that. It's also like that's why Lewis is there are just so many actual like there's policy fights to have, no one wants to have those, but if you want to like fight the culture war on the internet, it's like there are so many things to fight it over that actually matter. I just don't know why you're choosing to be like, but also like Lewis Hamilton is the good guy, like you don't need to, it's okay that he is a demon sometimes on track. In fact, I would argue that it makes him way funnier. And like you have to be to achieve that level of success. Like even not Lewis and Michael level, even like Prost, Seb, like all of these people, Max. What do all of those people have in common? Terrorism. Right, they're all deranged lunatics who would literally sell you to the devil for one corn chip to win a Formula 1 race. Duh. Oh yeah, I mean, Nico Rosberg, because he was raised in this weird Truman Show like experiment and he felt that he had to like fulfill this destiny to make his father love him, drove himself to the brink of insanity to win a Formula 1 world championship. And I think a lot of people overemphasize how much it was about Lewis. And like I think he was driven by like a crazy need not to beat Lewis, but to win. And I think the fact that he had to beat Lewis to do it made him like he was like, okay, like I need that was a decision he had to make to be like, I'm gonna do like I have to be willing to sacrifice, and he was willing to sacrifice his relationship with Lewis and almost sabotage it in order to gain any like millimeter of advantage he could. Because when he talks about like there have been multiple interviews where he and that weird LinkedIn post recently where he's like, don't feel like you guys need to do what your like family says you should do or what everyone thinks you should do. You don't need to go into the family business. Just generic advice. And I'm like, something you want to share with the class, girl? No, the t- oh, that was so funny. And everyone was okay. Everyone was real life mad at him about that, and I was like, guys, I get the McLaren. Okay, McLaren can be real life mad about it, but everybody else, be serious. That's the funniest thing a person's ever done. Yeah, Red Bull appears to be like slightly getting it together. Turns out Adrian Newey was important. That's the only way I will. That's how I know when it's time to stop talking is when someone else starts talking. And then that's how I have conversations is you just when it's your turn to talk, you just interrupt the other person. That's is that not how people speak? That's because I will say there is like a maybe it's like a French thing. I don't know. There is a like a Montreal, New England like that we can loop you guys up in the Northeast culture. You know what I mean? Well, yeah, you can change the chassis in the off season. Those engines are set, baby. That shit never ends up mattering. Yeah, I was gonna say, like, yeah, that would also, like, if there was anywhere where that was gonna be a problem, it would not be Monaco. But also, yeah, it's like the default. Oh, we're entering such a banger part of the calendar, like Monaco, Spain, Silverstone, Austria. I know the European swing is so good. Well, yeah, it's because they have so it's because they have so many more purpose-built tracks to choose from that like the one but also like no, because here's my thing. It's what's crazy is that the same guy built all of them. So what is going on? Like you can't like how could you build Coda? How could you build Interlagos and then also build Jeddah? Like like how? How? But build there are build Baku. Like there oh yeah, well. He said give me a sperm. He said, I want it to look like they're racing around inside of a I want to simulate what it's like for the journalist here. So it's going to be like just concrete enclosure. So it's kind of like you're being dismembered in a. That's why I will say the Florida track, like the Miami, how it's just like the highway track. I'm like, this is low key like the perfect American track, derogatory in parentheses, like of the fucking overpasses. I'm like, shoot me now. You go to Italy, it's like the rolling hills, like the beautiful America. It's like highways. No, but because the real problem is that these are the tracks that are driving up the prices. People want to blame the Middle East, but there's only 6 Gulf countries. There's a limited amount of idiotic governments that are going to be willing to waste money on this. What will happen is what there is in abundance is billionaire buddies of the people who are on the board of Liberty Media who are willing to split being the promoter of the event for and then sell a bunch of corporate packages, like lose money on the event, but you get to have Vegas on your calendar and go there and like do all of this stuff. And you don't actually care about like the long term, like health and profitability and sustainability of this and like reputation of this brand. You just want to be like, go to your investor meeting and be like, look at all of these. Like, we're having, like, before, like, the races were in fucking Spa. Who even knows where that is? Now we're having one in Madrid and uh Miami and Vegas. Like, they don't care how good the racing is. And I think cutting out um because the circuit owner, like in purpose built circuits, as well as like when it's actually like the local government, like so to speak, Monaco putting it on, because they, especially the purpose built circuits, want have an incentive to get people in the door so they can sell their and keep it affordable so they can sell their concessions. And they can also, if you go to a race there, it's like, okay, maybe you enjoyed it and like now you've been there, like you might go to another event. Like I think that cutting out that middleman to have these races run by people that have nothing to do with motorsport, know nothing about it, and like to be honest, don't give a fuck, will ultimately make for a worse and more expensive consumer experience. And you can tell that because the cheapest GA tickets to Miami and Vegas are $1,200, and you can get a ticket to Monza for 250. And even Silverstone that has had to raise their prices is like the cheapest ticket is still like 300-400 pounds, which is an expensive as fuck, but a far cry from $1,200. I could fly. The cheapest ticket to Monaco is $680. I could get a plane ticket to Milan, a ticket to the race, a rental car, and a hotel room for $100 a night. So to be fair, I couldn't stay in Monaco. Like that is like cheap for a hotel for the same price as a general admission ticket. I spent less on my week-long trip to Imola than a general admission ticket costs to the Miami Grand Prix. They're ruining the sport. And then people who talk about affordability and then go do like pro for Vegas and Miami, spare me. I put my money where my mouth is. I go to Monza. I'm going to Spa next year. Like, and don't get me wrong, I there's nothing wrong with like going. Like, I get it, especially for people that are like going to a shitload of races. But I feel like to not there, nobody is willing to acknowledge what the problem is here, and it's those are way. And when it was the Middle Eastern races, everybody was happy to talk about how they were the problem. But nobody wants to talk about how Miami and Vegas are like way more of a threat because again, there's only 6 Gulf countries. And listen, I don't again like I don't really blame you. I'm not saying I would go if Ferrari invited me to go to their garage in Monza, I'd do it. But and they're sponsored by fucking Palantir. So who am I to talk? You know what I mean? But I feel like you have to be honest when you're then at a separate time talking about like, oh, affordability is such a problem. See, that's when I feel I do some of my best work because I'm like, this is why I think Lewis Hamilton is a swan. You know what I mean? Yeah. My favorite thing discourse on this ever was the when that someone screenshotted the Reddit post. It was like, would George Russell have passed the weigh in if he peed in his car? And someone was like, day 2 of summer break. I know. I literally I had to make a rule for myself. No Twitter during because like I can go on TikTok, make my own weird little video, and have my weird little peeps who I love comment, and it's all well and good. Twitter in the off, like in I can't go on there in off times. Like that is truly like that's when I can hear the trumpets playing because or the saxophone playing because it's always discourse about discourse about discourse, and it's so fucking stupid. And like if I have to do the like I like the why do people want to murder Charles Leclerc's dog thing, well, like I just you I can't do like it's or and then it's like about every like about twice a week we just pick a random woman on the F1 internet like and we screenshot her TikTok video and then we all talk about what a stupid whore she is. That's a fun little thing we do. I'm like I can't do Twitter. And I love Twitter. I think it's one of the funnier but not during the off season. When there's no content, they start eating each other. I have like different accounts that I go on to like where I follow like I'm like, oh, like I have a US politics one, a UK politics one, I have like a fashion one, I have all sorts of different well, also like I don't know, like listen, I would do an ad for Amex, but I would be like, yeah, Miami's the problem. Like, sorry, I took it because I don't have 20 grand for paddock passes. Like, if I could pay, if I was in a position to be like I'm above that, then I would be above that. But I'm not above that, so that's why. Listen, yeah, yeah, no, nobody. Well, no, I think people do. Here's the thing: people get mad about them like not saying, but there's like a literal like as long as you toggle the paid promotion thing, I don't really give a shit. But there are people that don't do that. Like if you need someone to like the literal when there's a paid promotion, the literal format of the bottom of the video is different. Like it's very obvious that it's that. And so and they always put it in like the caption and I'm like if you need someone to say it out loud as well as having it be like a completely like I fear there's no hope for you. I will say it is kind of interesting because it's like I think it's well, on one hand, it's like you're not getting paid, but if this is a gifted experience, like that is more of a gray area. But I personally would still because that's why they're bringing if well, it depends. I think if they like, I was invited. Okay, I was once invited to an Aston Martin event, but there was no like they just invited me. There was no like, oh, you have to you like have to make a video or you have to do X, Y, and Z. Obviously, like it they invited a bunch of content creators, like everyone was making videos and stuff. And I made a little video there, but it wasn't like I wouldn't consider that like a because they it there was no exchange agreed to, right? They I think it's a little bit different when you're like, okay, in exchange for this experience, you're going to post XYZ. Like that's where I think the line is. Um, but the and also like I don't know. Yeah. Yeah. I also think that like that era of like subliminal advertising is over because it's just so oversaturated now. Everyone, sponsored or not, is like casually talking about products in your face so much that it like all just kind of goes over your head at this point. I personally think the best and most like impactful advertising that I see from influencers is when this is something that like I know this person has like already used and talked about, and like I know that they like like and use. But also, I've seen a couple people. Oh my god, I wish I could remember her name. Will do like high production value for TikTok, but like high production value, like fun, creative ads for things that are like reflective of their own personality. And, but like they also clearly put some effort into. And I was like, that was cool. And I watched the whole thing, which is more than I can say for. I was thinking about this today. Like even YouTube pre roll ads now are just like some bitch being like, look at how this makes my iPod, like, enough. I go what put some effort in. This is lazy. Like advertising has gotten so lazy in the age of influencers. Like all you need is some hot girl to be like, you should use this. No, advertise to me. I want to put on a show, baby. Like I want to see it. I buy Dawn dish soap because of those duck commercials to this day. Get me a baby duck. Yeah. 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 Those things that kind of just like roll. Exactly, because you're like, okay, at least this is. I will say, part of the lack of disclosure, yes, like the dishonesty, whatever. In my opinion, I have a brain and critical thinking skills, so I just personally don't feel that that's that big of a deal. But and also I think that like if you creators that do that, it's just like do it consistently and always, and it's incredibly obvious over time because no one's using like a different mascara every 3 months. Like, you know what I mean? Like, if you loved this product so much, we watch you do your makeup every day, you would be using it, right? But I also think should be an ad that's going to work on me will be so immediately obvious that it's an ad because it's like unique and creative and funny. Like the just sitting there and being like, "Oh, you should like the best one I saw is I follow this girl. She will post like once a week a like weekly outfits, and it's her standing like in this stone arch window or of like this stone house. And it's a really cute venue. It's got like these wooden shutters. It's super cute, and she's very well dressed, and she did a partnership with it was like a big maybe it was J Crew, something like that. And it was like a cute like set it to like cute fun music, and it was her like dancing through and posing in the window and different things, and like being pulled out and then coming back and being in a different outfit, and it was like that's creative, like it works for you, like this ad is clearly something that like makes sense, like you have a good sense of style. I can tell you put these outfits together yourself because like I it like fits your usual like style. And I think that was a really good example of like an ad that is not annoying, actually was entertaining to watch, regardless of whether or not it was an ad. And I think it's also a good example of brands want to be like super controlling and make influencers like be robots and recite this script. But actually, if you let people sort of adapt things to what makes sense for them and be creative, you'll end up with a much better end product. Do we think Kimmy Antonelli? Do we think Kimmy Antonelli wins it tomorrow? No. I'm gonna say no. No. I think Max might. Oh, I think Max will try anything to get him into turn one because Max has no other. Once Max is a shark with like one brain cell that says forward the minute those lights go out. But I also think I don't think he's gonna like do anything truly crazy past like lap one because I will say Kimmy is not a safe wheel to wheel partner. Like Max can go to the like don't get me wrong, they go over the edge frequently, but like Max and Lewis or Max and Charles can go right to the edge and not touch. But like every time Kimmy's wheel to wheel someone, he just veers and no, I actually don't. Yes. Oh, I now I do remember that. That was mm, I know it was like whatever, it's fine. He Charles won Monaco and that's all I wanted, but like he just oh like I think the cousin is a witch. Escape route. The Nico Rosberg on a memorial escape road. Alex. Yes, it was Alex, and he is an icon for that one. Genuinely, I genuinely believe that they should rename it that like after Nico Rosberg. I think that would be so. Because first of all, he is like born and raised in Monaco. It would make sense to, but it's just that would be so funny. No, I think he'll go. No, he'll go to his grave with it, as would Seb or Lewis. Oh, everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Here's the thing. I'm like a little bit of a truther in that like I don't think it was intended like from the jump. I think that he fucked up into that corner and like was like, well, I can stop this whole thing right now. No, he had just won the previous year. Yeah. Wait, maybe not, but I think so. Hang on. I thought his first win was in 2013 there. I could be wrong though. Hang on. No, maybe you're right. Maybe that was the first one. Monaco GP 2013. Yeah. Yeah, he won in 20. The way I can't remember anything, but I have like an encyclopedic memory of the 2010 9 through not really 2007 through 2012 Formula 13 Formula 1 seasons. Ask me what happened 3 races ago, I have no idea. Ask me what happened in Germany 2007, I could go on for about an hour. Yeah. No, no, that he crashed in 2020 in 2020. Yeah, he was on pole. No, he was on pole when he crashed. No. No, that was 2022. No, that 23 is the gearbox. Oh, yeah. Oh, oh. No, no, I know. I know. I'm saying that's okay, whatever. Yeah, you're right. I'm not going to argue with you about this because I never. Yeah. Yes. 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 Thank God. No, I would say Turkey was pretty dumb when they like the track was like covered in soap, basically. No, but it was just like yeah, and like it was just everybody like it was just an incredibly silly race. Like everybody was spinning constantly, and it was like raining and then not raining, which made it so much worse. 21? No, Emma Turkey 2020. I meant. Oh yeah, you're right. That was also pretty silly, but like, yeah, not. I mean, technically it is, but me, I went. I actually have a vivid memory of that day because I had just gone on. My friend, who I like do not work with in any way whatsoever, was like, yo, everyone's bringing their boyfriends. They were doing like a work retreat where they like went and they had all these meetings and stuff at this like schmancy country club and in Virginia that's like attached to a winery. And like she's like, I don't have anyone to come with me, like, do you want to come? And I'm like, totally. So I went and we did the day before on Saturday. We did a bar crawl of wineries, not a food in sight. It was so hot. At one point, I went inside and I went to this bartender and I was like, I have $40 cash. Like, I will give it to you in exchange for any food you have. Like, I just, please. Like, I know you have to book the private tasting room, but like, this is an emergency. Like, I need food and I'm willing. And if you take credit cards, I'm willing to pay you almost anything. And she like was so nice. She was like, she gave me like a tall glass of water and she was like, all I can sneak away is this loaf of bread. And so I had to go, and again, like these are like my friends, like colleagues. So I had to go like hide in this like other like adjacent like hallway. and eat my loaf of bread inside. Like that's how because there was just no and I was like, I'm already too fucked up. Like I'm about to pass out. Like I need something. And then after that moment, we went to two more wineries and then ended the night at a distillery. I don't really like brown liquor at the best of times, okay? But again, I didn't want to be like, oh, like I'm just a girl, like I don't, you know. So I was like, sure, I'll have a glass. I took one sip of it. I said, I waited like a little bit and then I was like, so sorry, I have to go to the bathroom. This is how you know I'm a professional degenerate because anyone else would puke in front, make a scene. Not me. I was like, oh, I need to grab something from the car, like to the person in the front. I walk down around the driveway, like 4 feet into the woods, vomit everywhere, and then like clean myself up, go back in like nothing happened. I'm like, I'll take a water, please. So, as you can imagine, the drive home the next day was hellacious. And I have such a vivid memory of sitting in a Waffle House watching this on my phone. Like I had it in my phone a little bit. Like everybody's eating in dead silence. That's how you know it was like everybody is struggling. Complete dead silence. Oh no. I have to hang on, sorry. Um Complete dead silence. And I'm just like watching it on my phone and I'm like I am like gonna die. I'm like, this is the worst thing that ever has ever happened to me. Like, I'm gonna die in this Waffle House right now. Like, I can't. People were like screaming. And so that's where I was. And then so I watched it at that Waffle House and then on the rest of my way back home. No, it just makes you. Oh, what happened? What they. Oh. Yeah. So it's not a big deal. NBD. Oh. I could listen to the two of them chit chat because that's just eventually what it became. It's just the two of them chatting. Um, Unwatchable, unwatchable. No, anyone but Crofty and Brundle. And I say this even like I love Jensen and Nico, but they don't have the experience that Brundle does to like. And Crofty needs this, and he suffers, and he suffers when and he suffered. Well, at one point, Ted is commentating Williams plastic duck, rubber duck races in the paddock. Like they're doing anything they can. And no, it would have been Brundle knows when to like go all the way in and get silly on a topic with Crofty, and he knows when it needs to. He has very good instincts for that, and Crofty definitely like needs that from him. And I feel like the others don't. Almost venerate Crofty too much, and so they like won't. They let him go a little bit too much. You know what I mean? And no, I will say I know that this is an unpopular opinion, but I love Crofty and Brundle so much that I almost like rain delays because I'm like, let these two go. Like, I want to hear Martin Brundle talk about like the disagreement he had with Damon Hill in 1942 that they're both like still and like they're both talking about it like it's funny, but like you can tell they're a little low key still mad about it. You know what I mean? Like I want to get into like no, exactly. Like the rain delays when Crofty and Brundle are there, that part is so important. Are like actually fun. Yeah. I don't know. I'm like, you don't, I just think don't mess with perfection. You know what I mean? Harry. I mean, he's not horrible. He's just nothing. Like he just, I don't know. I just don't care about him. And I'm like, here's the thing. it's unfair, and I like know that I can't make a real assessment because I would just hate whoever they introduced me to. Like, if it's not Crofty, like I'm not going to be happy. And but on top of that, okay, yes, I missed the introduction, so perhaps I feel a little bit more strongly about this than. But with the Brundle replacements, like not just for the Formula One drivers, even the people who aren't Formula One drivers or maybe aren't ones that you would remember, they were on Sky first. They were on the broadcast. They do the podcast. Like these aren't just like random people like that all of a sudden like you brought in and like now they're this like central figure. Like you kind of warm us up to the person a little bit first. You know what I mean? Oh well, and that is unfair. But also I'm like with Brundle. No, you're right. But also what I what I don't get about like the Crofty like replacement like strategy is that for Brundle, it's not they didn't just pick one person and be like, this is it, this is what you're getting. They, especially in the like at first, really rotated people through and like tried out like basically every all of the drivers that work there. They brought a few in and like they've kind of slowly cut it down as like I mean it's clearly going to be either Jensen or Nico. I feel like is the clear choice. But why just for Crofty? Why not give all of the people who work there who are like media people and not like F1 drivers, why not give them all a go in the Crofty seat? Why pick this again like random man? No offense to him, but and people are like he's not random, he's from the BBC radio thing and I'm like, but to viewers of Sky, if you pay for Sky Sports in the UK, you're not listening to the race on the radio, which is the only place BBC radio is available. No, for sure. He was heavy in that rotation for a while. Yeah, but that's the advantage of like we it was very apparent how much he sucked even to the normies because you had him it would be like Jensen one weekend and him the next weekend and it would be like a night they didn't like yes they tried to make Paul Dressa happen for sure. He was heavy in the rotation. But I will say one thing Sky has been good about in that is like I do feel they're pretty responsive to public opinion on these things because I have to imagine that it does impact viewership a lot. Like I'm more dedicated to watching this shit than the average Formula 1 viewer. And I will say when it's a weekend where there isn't like where it's not Brundle and Crofty and like also Jensen and Nico aren't there or on the pre and post show, I definitely will give it a miss sometimes when I'm like, you know what I mean? Oh, Yeah. Yeah, I'm about 50-50 on usually about half the time. I'll after we do these lives, I'll throw on the coverage. I am 100% of the time when Nico Rosberg is there throwing on the coverage. Uh, it's I like her. I don't like. She's not. There's never been a moment where she said something and I rolled my eyes. Like she's good, but I think it might just be a British thing. I'm like, say something, say literally anything, have an opinion. Like everything she. Yeah, that's true. I didn't really watch the Canada. I didn't even watch like the volume of the races, if I'm honest. But I have watched her a bunch of times, and like again, like I do think she's good. I think she presents well. Like she speaks clearly and articulate, and you can tell she knows what she's talking about, and like has and takes time to like dive into like the details and read that and like come prepared for her job, which you think would be the bare minimum, but not all of them do. Um, and but however, I think at first you can she's definitely coming out of her shell a little bit. You can tell at first she was like nervous, which fair enough. I will say we must overcome. Yeah. It's so annoying that they don't even forget about give it to us ahead of time. They never get it to give it to us at all. You just have to tune in to find out. It's because I think they probably want to make it hard for people to do what I want to do, which is like run the numbers on like how often everyone's there, which I will do at some point, but you have to go through and like actually watch the whole thing because again, it's not right. It's not even like right before. It's like join like so like they tag the people or whatever like in the no like it's you gotta see. Probably because they knew people it would get people to stay up and watch. Because I stayed up, I watched both practice sessions that China. That's crazy work. I would never do that if Nico Rosberg were not on comms. It's also so funny because everybody agrees that the ex drivers are the best at like, and people love like not even the people who even the people who hate Nico like like other people like DC and Morgan like whatever all of those people Brundle. But there's this whole like mass pushback against Lewis that's like, how dare he speak about Formula One? And I'm like, guys, like, I don't think that you, like the fan, understand. Like, if you successfully demonize these people, I don't know, like, oh, they're losers hanging around because they're on the broadcast. All you're doing is going to make the product we get way worse. Like, stop. My hot take is that I actually don't think that you should bring if you want to bring people in for like the more like obviously women and obviously you should bring in women in for like the 50% of roles that are media roles. But my like most problematic opinion is that the F1 driver role is for an F1 driver because the part of like what you need to fulfill for that role is not simply a nuanced understanding of the sport, which you can definitely develop as a driver from another sport, but also at the end of the day, like the cars are so different now, so it's a little bit less of a factor, but I'm like, they have driven in this race. You know what I mean? Like that is different. But the most important part of that is the relationship they have with the people and like also the understanding of what's going on the they know these people and they know them well. Like they've lived in a college dorm style apartment with them for 20 years. That's the key. The what makes the F1 driver commentator so valuable is that they're a part of the club. And a non F1, if you brought in some, I'd feel the same way if you brought in like Hot Sebastian from Rally. I'd be like, listen, I love having Hot Sebastian here. I think he's great, but it doesn't fulfill the F1 driver role because you're not going to be, he's a part of a different club, but he's not a part of that club. And they can get away with more. They can say more. They can be a little, you know what I mean? They can push a little bit because they have relationships with these people. No, he was like, he stood 10 toes down. Or when Lewis was like, or when no, but I also agree it has to be someone of a certain stature. It's also like the or how about would anyone but like Jensen Button be like you stay safe on the pit wall, Horner, because he was like it's really hard for us down here in the pit wall too, like we're struggling. Would you say or Nico being like to Jos Verstappen, oh now you have nothing to say? Or pushing back when Toto was like, "We can't afford to buy out George's contract." Nico was like, Is something wrong? Like that's like, do you need to borrow some money? Like like I had lunch with Susie last week. She didn't tell me like Mercedes had was destitute. I like and Anthony. I like Anthony Davidson too. I think they're both fantastic at that specifically. Karun is too influenced by like I think Anthony Davidson separates church and state. Like the sky pad is holy to him, and he takes his duty to be objective on it, like incredibly, and to an extent. I just hate him because he's a Carlos. Like I do think he's being paid to support Carlos Sainz. Yeah, everyone except for Jensen Button. I will say Crofty and Brundle weren't that bad because well they just like weren't apart. Like it was just not. It wasn't clear what had happened. What before they cut away from them, if that makes sense. As he yeah, his friend died there. No, all of the people that dunk on George for anything GPDA related, I'm like, you're anti-union. I know what you are. I know what you are, Max Verstappen. A bootlicker. Same thing with Charles, by the way. Don't think that's a Max exclusive criticism. Charles is a fucking rat bitch as well in that category. Saying that pisses me off. Just let it go. Like, just let the moment pass. Like, no, you made yourself look stupid. We all know that. But saying it makes, I'm like more, like, that makes me more annoyed. Wait. Okay, great. Guys, good news. My live the visibility has been restricted for harassment and bullying. That's how you know we're really back in the swing of the season though. What am I No! Okay. Okay. Wait. Wait. I have not mentioned that man's name. No, but the I haven't had a problem with in the year and a half since I've last spoken about him. I've had no issues with my lives being reported. You mean to tell me that the first time how is he, what is going on? Like, has he paid TikTok to like put in some kind of AI thing that's like, wait, no, but like I get on here and I talk shit about way more popular people. This like can't be a coincidence, but I can't like figure out how the conspiracy is happening. Okay, whatever. I guess Lord Voldemort. We can't say his name. Like, no, yeah, he just like appears and they kill you. Yeah. No. And I will say, I was speaking of commentary, I was forced to watch F1 TV today against my will. And they are wilding over there. They can get away with so much not being the main broadcast because they were like, George is flopping like a fish. What is happening? Not, I mean, obviously they didn't say flopping like a fish. That's my phrase. But like, they were, I was like, if Crofty and Brundle ever spoke this candidly, like, there would be torches and pitchforks outside the Sky offices. I actually kind of like that because I've always been a Will Buxton defender because I read his magazine and it's really fucking good. And he's been a Will Buxton has been in the streets with me in 2011 when I was in the Daily Mail comment section defending Lewis Hamilton. The only motherfucker who was writing like internet content that was like positive about Lewis Hamilton was Will Buxton. And I stand with him and also his writing is very good. Like his long form writing is actually solid. I don't think he's necessarily playing a character. I think he is like a kind of a corny tryhard, but like that's the role you're an announcer. That's like part of what you're supposed to be. You know what I mean? And like I don't like to be honest with you, like right, he's exactly. He does not take himself too seriously. And also the people that genuinely like use that as a knock against Will Buxton are the same people who expect Drive to Survive to be like a like 3-hour granular analysis of like the season lap by lap and not like a fun intro explainer. All of the criticisms of Drive to Survive come from a place of people who appear to be unclear with like the concept of what a reality show is. And don't get me wrong, they have definitely pulled some dirty tricks like swapping there's been some tricks they pulled that like I'm like no, like that's shady. You don't get to change what happened. You can frame it, but at the same time I'm like Drive to Survive isn't for you. You're a hardo who is writing a paragraph in my comment section because I said Mark finished fifth instead of sixth in 2012. Drive to Survive, and I like it because I am both. Like, I can appreciate, like, yeah, I want to see George and Toto have an awkward staged conversation about his contract straddling a rubber boat. Fuck yeah. Why not? You know what I mean? I think it's funny. I want to see Toto Wolf have a serious conversation with his wife while struggling to eat cottage cheese with a fork. Like I watch Drive to Survive for like the entertainment and like the color that it adds. I also think the choices these people make in the way they present themselves are incredibly interesting to me. Like Christian Horner riding horses in his English garden, like try harder. You know what I mean? Like we got it. We got what you're trying to be. I know, like not that I'll ever be either, but like you can walk and talk and dress like an aristocrat, but like I know that those people are like not one of us because that's how they are. Um, like I find it interesting in that way, but I also am like again, 90% of the complaints about Drive to Survive are just I don't like reality TV, which okay, like you don't have I didn't watch it this year, like no one's holding a gun to your head. No, you can't trust other people to do your clipping for you because these bitches don't know what they're looking for. Oh, what do you say? Oh yeah, and it was a very like it was an obviously sarcastic tone, like in my opinion. Like that's something I would say to you, like, oh, like should we go? Should we do the meet and greet? I don't it's not a British American thing. I think that people are play the diction police constantly and aggressively interpret everything in the worst possible way if it means they get to dunk on someone they don't like. Like we're in the Salem witch trials of being of who is a Trump supporter instead of actually focusing our hatred on the people who are like I am and also like I like am openly racist, homophobic, sexist, all the thing. Like MBS literally has told us who you are, but you people are more worried about debating if George Russell's tie means that like you is like a smoke signal that he like got lunch with Nigel Farage on the third Tuesday of it. Like there are like MBS is a Trump supporter who literally says I don't like women who think they're smart because they never are. He also said he's the Trump so he brought Trump. He so like there are like Zach like there are plenty of but they don't want to focus on those people because they want to dunk on the driver that is like currently against their driver, right? Because it's not a genuinely moral stand that you're taking. You're like using what is like you don't actually care. You're just using it as a tool to like win fan wars, which is asinine and also low key offensive. Writing a campaign song for Stacey Abrams. Taylor Swift Taylor Swift wants her, children to look like her husband, so just so you know, that means she's a white supremacist. It's just like there are white supremacists that are, like, open and, like, willing to admit it. Eager, eager. No, but I will say the whole British humor thing pisses me off because they so often use it as an excuse where it's like they'll make a rude joke about you and they're like you just don't get it. I'm joking. I'm like, no, I do get it. That's why you're making fun of me. That's why I'm like I get that it was a joke. That it was a joke at my expense. Like you're laughing at me right now. That's why like what do you mean? Like just because it's a joke doesn't mean like that actually makes it worse. Just so you know, like you're actively making fun of me right now in this. Taylor has endorsed every single election, including off-year Tennessee governor's races, and like whatever, whatever. She door knocked for whatever, whatever. I don't care. You can think Taylor Swift is MAGA if you want. I literally don't give a shit. Go hunt your witches, and don't focus on the real problem. That'll definitely fix everything. Good luck. She door knocked for Hillary Clinton. Hang on. There's like she like attended Hillary Clinton event. Whatever. It's fine. People can believe it. I don't care. You can blame the state of our nation on Taylor Swift and I don't. Taylor Swift endorsed Hillary. Taylor Swift was not silent in 2016. She just wasn't. Like oh, Taylor Swift. And like people just like say things. Oh, maybe she didn't. Oh, oh, that was when she was. Oh, yeah, she was silent because she was silent on every because she disappeared for a year and a half. I forgot about that. Yeah, oh, I was like, wait a minute. She always does like a door knocking like little cookie. She'll like bring people cookies or whatever and like make an Instagram post. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she was. Well, yeah. Clearly, you know what? This was clearly Taylor Swift's fault. She did not take her responsibility as the Queen of America properly. Yeah, she's actually not allowed to, disappear from the public eye for a year and a half because I don't know if you know this, she's actually in charge of the Democratic Party. But also, like, I don't know, I just don't look to Taylor Swift to be, like, the moral leader of America. Like, surely, like, I just listen to her music when it fucking comes out. Like, surely, like, if we're relying on on a random, like, 30-year-old, like, lady who has no policy experience to save us, like, I fear we are already cooked. And I think that people it's just a useful argument for people to have where like you can be like you could virtue signal about like your concern about like the state of America without actually having to like learn anyone like the names of any senators. You know what I mean? Can I write them down or do I have to name them out loud? I did that a long time ago and I forgot Ted Cruz and I've always been mad about it ever since. I don't think I could get all of them. I think I could probably get like plus above no. Um, that's gonna get y'all. My live access is already restricted. I shouldn't have done that. But listen, we're willing to talk about it. Please don't make me suffer. Why? Nothing I can do or say will change anything about it. I'm just gonna listen. I'm so anyway. But um I think I could get 85. Like 85 is probably my over under. But I'm also like I'm bad. I'm an airhead. Like I am bad about this stuff, so I can recognize that it's not like where it should be. But I can guarantee you that all right, that's pretty good. I mean, you're also that's like very impressive for someone who's, only you guys are a protectorate. You're a sovereign nation. Mm. The problem is like all of those like white men from the plains, like though, like Mike Rounds, Idaho. Oops, Oklahoma. I would have gotten him, but who? This that's bad. I don't know if I could name the senator any either senator from Oklahoma. Who are senators? Oh, James Langford. I do not. Alan Armstrong. I've dead ass never heard of. Oh, okay, okay. I was like, at least like it's pretty rare that I like. Oh, isn't it that chick? What's her fucking name? Ashley. Yes, 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 yes. Hey, that's pretty good. I got the first name at least. Oh, Katie Britt. Smash. Hate to say it. How, in light of recent events, how, wait. Tammy Duckworth, and Todd Young. Oh, come on, that's the same thing. Here's the thing. It's not that I'm not. The problem is not that I'm not deeply interested in government. It's that those states, they kind of all blend together. They kind of all blend together. Oh, the generic mid-Atlantic Democrat man, like Chris Coons and who's the one that who's the one that punched his wife in the face? Tom Carper. Him, same guy. Sheldon Whitehouse. Yes. Oh my god, thank God. Yes, she did. You're right. I forgot about that. Thank God. I mean, come on. You can't be that can't be held against you. That's his whole shtick. Yeah, I actually hate that. I know him because I hate that motherfucker deeply. Also, Sheldon Whitehouse, I know because of the all white beach club incident. It's a memorable and Sheldon, like those are two memorable names. Jack Reed. I think you gotta have a no, exactly. Like that's giving randomly generated name. It really is. CT Connecticut is Chris Murphy and That's funny. I like that though. It's like maybe supposed to be their kid. Yeah, where it's like they had like it's a Philip Rivers situation. I need Advil. That is fun. Oh, I wish I knew where I put anything. Oh, not as many as I should be able to. In 10 minutes? No, if I'm honest. Because even as someone who literally writes like daily reports on like house activity and like the committees and stuff like and like has to follow like the floor and stuff very closely. There's so many of them that like this it's but it's only you only need to know the same it's only the same 20 people who are like doing stuff. You know what I mean? Like the in leadership or like a true like or like a crazy person. Like that's the only other or 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 if you're hot. That's the third way that you'll stand out. But like those are really yeah. I think I could get there if I really sat there and like thought about like different elections. Right. And like really it would take me longer than 10 minutes, but I do think I could get there, but I would need to like really sit there and like be like, okay, like what like or and like think about like be like, all right, like think about a committee hearing, like picture in your mind, like, is there anyone you recognize? But also I would have to name 100 and like I'd probably have to name 150 for it to truly count because I know that when I go through that list, there's gonna be so many people on it that are retired and I just forgot. Mike Collins, he's running for Senate. Mm. Yeah, I got nothing. That's bad. Oh yeah. I gotta be honest with you. I was unaware she was from Georgia. Nice, nice. Let's see. Oh, Buddy Carter. He's also running for Senate, and we forgot about him. That's so funny. Lucy McBath, I knew. Rich McCormick, like I've never seen this man before in my goddamn life. Like I don't believe that he's real. Austin Scott, Andrew Clyde, these are AI generated congressmen. Barry Loudermilk, that's a good name. Rick Allen, AI generated. Georgia 2 is Stanford Bishop. Another good name. Clay Fuller, AI generated Republican. Yeah. Ugh. She will. I will say I have a lot of respect for her because she came in very hot and very bad in committee hearings. Like it was clear she just like had no idea what she was talking about. And there were moments where I was like, oh no. She said, and I'll never forget this. She was like, Nancy Pelosi is sabotaging me by putting me on the 2 committees that have the most work, so I won't be able to do events and go live on Instagram. The 2 committees that she's referring to are the House Appropriations Committee, no, sorry, House Ways and Means Committee and the House Oversight Committee. Those are the 2 most important and powerful committees in the entire Congress. You could maybe make an argument for judiciary over oversight because they also have subpoena power and they confirm Supreme Court justices, but the House committee has far more wide-ranging subpoena power than the Senate committee does, and they actually use it, unlike the Senate committee. So, but the but even armed services, I would say no because the Ways and Means they the budget is everything. The budget is Congress's most powerful tool, especially now that they don't pass other but and is through reconciliation. NDA. And they low key write like the farm bill has to come from both too. Like it's ways, but anyway, regardless of where you want to rank them, a freshman member being given a seat on both of those committees that was Nancy Pelosi like being like I like that right, that was her being like you have potential, like let's see, like I'm going to give you a shot. Like I think, that and also even when she talks about her like she got in trouble for that London thing when she was like a glass of water could win in my or AOC's district. Like I want to be the speaker, not the minority leader. So like I do support it was like what I don't even remember the member she was talking about. And they ran a headline being like, her being like saying like a glass of water could win in AOC's districts, like framing it like she was like talking shit. And I'm like, no, she's not. Like she said, first of all, she said her and she said it about herself as well. Like it wasn't. Regardless, I was like, girl, like she did not that you want to be on those committees. And the fact that you would rather go live on Instagram than sit on the House Ways and Means Committee is like deeply concerning. But I will say I must give her credit because she locked the fuck in and she has learned and she clearly gets how it works now and she's great in committee hearings now and is much more like productive legislatively if that makes sense. Not that like anyone can really be doing like that much right now, but just like in terms of like the markups, like you can see who's offering amendments, like you can like she's like sponsored a bunch of weird bills with Rand Paul, like like she's trying shit, which I respect, and also like has clearly taken time to like learn how to affect change instead of just going live on Instagram, which respect because most people choose that second option. Oh, bump the no. I like Monaco. Leave Monaco alone. Everybody just talks about this because it's like the cool girl talking point. Like it's fine, but also if you do want to fix it, you very easily could by just bumping out the harbor. Just get rid of the yeah, and at the swimming pool. Well, and make the swimming pool a sweeping curve instead of a series of hard turns. Boom, fixed. That's the crazy thing because the chicane's there for what? Like, okay, maybe it's there for safety reasons, and we shouldn't be talking shit. Like, whatever. I'm obviously not an expert, but like, you're right. It's why don't they just go? Like, why don't they just sweep around that corner? Maybe because they're scared they're gonna like drive straight into the wall. But if you just put a diagonal barrier, not straight line. I don't think you have to straight line. You just make it not like a chicane. You know what I mean? Honestly, I would. It's Make it a corner that's suited for overtaking instead of one that completely disallows the possibility of that whatsoever. Whatever kind of corner that may be, that's but also it just frustrates me because I'm like, it's the hybrid engines. The cars are too heavy and they have to be large safety wise because they're so heavy that you need to yeah. No. No, they're doing an eco tax evasion grift. So I fear that's not possible. Sorry. No. Also, it doesn't matter. The problem isn't the petroleum. Well, it is in a big picture way, but like it's not the fuel that the cars are using. It was always impossible to pass because they need to fix the chicane coming out of the tunnel. It would be like make that a corner that you can overtake at. I am good. This is might inspire me. It's been on my list of things to do for a long time. Like understand how the tracks work. Like do. But I tried to do research into this math. You know what I mean? Like math. There's math there. Not my fave, but I fear I might have to just suck it up. What? It is as a retribution to the people of Florida. I will. Like, and it's all of the worst Florida people that would go to. I would move Suzuka to Fiji. That would be the number one thing I would do. I would ask I'm so we're just so aligned. No, I do because I want to go. You don't want to go to Japan and like see the beautiful mountain and then go to the race. Oh my god. So have you been to I've never been to Japan. Oh, but also, even if Fuji isn't as good as it used to be, Fuji is like a place that people go. You know what I mean? No offense, but we're going to the Pittsburgh of Japan. And no hate, no shade to Pittsburgh, but like I'd rather go to the Fuji of Japan. It's just if I'm gonna go all the way there, I'd rather go to like Chicago of Japan. I don't know what Fuji, I don't know enough about the cities and everything, but like at least that's a place people go. Goat race. It's not the last one. They go there in 2010. No. No, 2007, I will say 2007 Germany is objectively funnier. Lewis Hamilton gets craned back onto the track and resumes the race. That oh true. The beginning and also them being like Mark vomiting in his helmet when they cut to Sebastian Vettel and James out. And listen, we talk a lot of shit about James Allen here, but when he goes, and there's Sebastian Vettel crying his eyes out, Come on, he's like so little there. Also, yeah, it's an all-time Ferrari moment. Like everything about that, Fernando and Lewis both like I think they like crash each other, or I think Fernando and like crashes into Lewis and like screws himself over, and then Lewis hobbles on, but then like randomly spins in the pit lane and also crashes out. Like there was just there was like a McLaren thing going on. Seb crashing out Mark. There was like it's the most classic Ferrari shit ever. I feel like 2007 Fuji, even though it's kind of a, but also there's good racing. Like Jensen and Nico are going back. There's like randomly pockets of fun, good racing in there. So I do think that's the epitome of like peak for it is the best Formula One race because it's the most Formula One race, and it's 10 out of 10 entertaining. 2007 is it has everything, and 2007 Germany is entertaining, but it's almost so chaotic that you don't for someone who hasn't seen it before, it's very difficult the first time you watch it to keep track of what's happening because like we hadn't totally nailed it's 2007. We hadn't totally nailed the camera work yet, right? And there are no graphics. There are no graphics. Keep that in mind. So, like, that kind of chaos would be hard to keep track of now when you have it's impossible to state how crucial the list of names is on the side. We get it once a lap when they cross the finish line, and it scrolls like five at a time. And if you miss it, you just have to go back and forth. It's so even though 2007, but the thing is like what the solution to that is like okay, you watch it the first time, you just have to like sit back and be like I'm just going to watch what happens because there's no point in like trying to be like, "Oh, what's this or whatever" because it's so hard to figure out. And then once I watch it once, I read Will Buxton's write up of the race that he does in his magazine. And then I read the Wikipedia article and then I go back and watch it again, knowing what happened to get like a true understanding. That's what I would do. Most of them you don't have to do that for because it's like, I understand how a Formula One race works. But that's the thing that's why Drive to Survive is good because it's so hard to just be dropped in the middle and you're like, I don't know who anyone is. I don't know what any of this means. And anytime someone tries to explain a term, they use four more terms that you would have never heard of unless you are into race car driving. Yeah. There's a picture of me. I understand, like, that's the whole season I did watch-alongs, which I need to start doing again. I got lazy, but the editing them is just so painful, but the footage for that is harrowing. I wonder if I still have it. It's I literally I'm like it's in my old apartment and I'm like it's yellow walls, like one just this couch and a random coffee table. And I'm just like pacing around my apartment. The red flag gets called and I'm like, "Oh my god, a red flag." Like what and then I'm like trying to think or no, not a red. The safety car gets called and I'm like, oh my god. Immediately thinking I'm like, are they gonna I immediately am like, they're gonna red flag it because there's not enough time to get this car off the track and there's no way they're gonna end it on safety car. So they're just gonna do a red flag, have a shootout, like it'll be a little bit altered for the end, but whatever. Then like as it goes on, right, right, right. Then as I realized that that's not gonna happen, like you can see the moment when I realized that that's not gonna happen. And, like, Brundle says something, and I just, like, sit down on the couch, and I never ended up posting this because it's not good footage, it's just me the entire time I'm just sitting there like this. As it happens, I was so shocked and angry, and honestly, like, it's just so F1, it's like, it's literally incompetence, like, I almost feel like I'm gonna get murdered for saying I feel bad for Max Verstappen. Obviously, he got to win the championship, I doubt he cares, but it's like, through like, he had nothing to do with that, like, both of the sporting directors were advocating for it to go their way, like, that's just how sports is, like, you have to follow the precedent that, like, you yourself set, like, it was just so ridiculous, but I also am like and I even feel like maybe not, but I also feel like deep down Lewis would feel this way because he based on, like, past things he said about it's like, if they a week later were like, "Never mind," it's kind of like, okay, well, now it's just like you can't unfuck up, and it's crazy because it's so F1. They for the first time in a literal in 5 years, they had a actually good championship race where people were going back and forth, and they fucked it over the line because they didn't, like they got too cute with it. It's the most F1 thing. They ruined it. And that's no shade to Max, it's not his fault, but, like, it just is what it is. Oh, and the FIA had been getting cute with it for a couple races, and it went both of them benefited from it, and, like, it that was I stood 10 toes down and defended it. I was like, "I don't see what you're talking about." And yes, and as they should. Yep. No, he listen, it was listen, regardless of we don't need to relitigate it. It's like I don't mind some but and F1 the 2 lap shootout would have been a way and the red flag would have been a way better outcome. They fucked it. It's not even I don't even care that they tried to interfere. I care that they fucked it up and ruined they handed it to Max. I wouldn't have like they didn't let them have there was never a chance like there was never if they both could have changed their tires and just like gone may the best man that's the most like first of all, it's the precedent you set. I don't mind that they're like, we're not gonna let this shit end under safety car because I'm like, I get it. Like this is a show. We're trying to red flag it. they didn't know what to do. They froze and then they panicked and like they just it was an absolute clusterfuck and it was like purely down to incompetence and it was the most circus clown bullshit tomfoolery of all time and something I would only expect from fucking Ferrari. It's just that's not Formula One's fault. Maybe the Bottas bowling with the like power is control or something or speed is control or something like that in the background is genuinely one of the funniest like photographs that's ever been taken. Lewis did not. Okay, leave Lewis alone about Silverstone and everyone leave Max alone about Monza. We're done. We're done. Everyone is done on those. No, it was not. No, he wasn't. He was doing the thing where he's like exactly getting your elbows out and going and also there are plenty of time. It's just because that had a really like extreme outcome that it's like Lewis and Max both bump people all the time, but it's just fine when it's fine. Um the it was not intentional to have the outcome. He was pushing him out. Yeah, he was pushing him out, but it was not intentional to have the outcome that it happened. I think both Lewis and Max race on the edge like that, and to act like that was a Michael Schumacher pure like or swerve it or Sebastian Vettel Baku 2017 moment is like kind of crazy. Um, and I think the same can be. It could easily right exactly like he didn't. Whenever they when once you touch right, Michael benefited from both of them. The reason Michael did that is because he needed to crash both of them out. And I think the same thing about Max and Monza. I don't think he was like, I'm gonna crash Lewis out right now. I think Max got frustrated and made a stupid dive bomb that was inevitably going to crash them out, as Max is wont to do at that point in his life. Like, I I don't know, whatever. Again, like the 2020, it's so, and also the worst part about 2021 isn't even the ending. The ending really just solidified and was the icing on the cake of this. Is that like you cannot? Nobody has a normal opinion about like everyone. It brings like I remember being like, it's funny that Max unfollowed Lewis on Instagram and people because I was like, the fact that those like adult men view that as like, "Oh, I'm mad at you. I'm gonna unfollow you on Instagram" is hilarious to me. Um, People, both Max and Lewis fans were like so mad at me for not taking this like topic incredibly seriously. And I'm like, we are talking about fucking Instagram, you guys. Like, chill out. Him and Charles unfollowing each other when they were on the same private jet flight is remains like one of the funnier like fun facts of Formula One, and the fact that they still have not followed each other back. Charles, him. Oh yeah, no, you're right. He got it from his mama, truly, because he is a wet cat on that podium. No one has ever been more mad. Like he's just standing there, and he's like soaking wet, like with champagne, which makes it so much funnier. Just absolutely seething with rage. It's genuine. Seb Canada is a good contender. Mark Multi 21 is also a good contender, but like that is my favorite when they force them to stand on the podium and they are just mad as hell. Fernando, oh my god, I'm gonna forget. It's 2007, but I'm forgetting what race it is. But it's when oh, Malaysia, maybe I might be making that up. Like they had a crazy battle and Fernando is mad as hell. And Lewis just like claps him on the shoulder Fernando has to go along with it. Otherwise, he looks like they're on the podium. He looks like a massive dickhead in front of everyone. It is, and he is just like, he can't even truly smile because he's so annoyed. I think Charles probably wanted to be in the movie because I think Charles probably wants to be like an actor of some sort. Or maybe not an actor, but like a musician. He wants to be like I think what yeah, you have to be legally. So I think you have to join. I mean to work in the movie because otherwise like the movie gets in trouble. I've like volunteered to be like like to help out with like my friend's thing and I had to like fill out paper. I was like, you don't need to pay me, like genuinely, like I want to help because you're my friend. And she's like, no, you don't understand. Like if legally, if we don't give you $200, like someone will show up here and shoot us. And I was like, okay. Like, and I had to sign this paperwork and I get like 30 cents in the mail like twice a year. They're strict with it. George would be an incredible act. Like he should be in period dramas because he's just like that. So Max. I think Max is like naturally funny. He's got good comedic timing. He'd definitely be the best non-English speaker. I mean, wait, obviously Max speaks English. You know what I meant. You know what I meant. Sorry, not to interrupt. George, I just have to say, has changed my George needs to be in a vertical TikTok drama yesterday. Anyway, continue. They should have him play like a minor Tory and be like a who is like kind of a joke and like bring him on to, you know what I mean? Don't even speak that into existence. I know everyone's like, you should move to the UK. And I'm like, well, first of all, I don't want to be poor, but also like not too soon. Not too soon. We gotta wait. Let's see how this plays out long term. Yeah, it depends on he would have to want to do it. Like that's kind of Max's thing. The thing is, I think he just suffers from the fact that he's not a native English speaker and comedic timing is very hard to nail in another language. And if you think about it, Max has developed all of his close interpersonal friendships in English for the last like 20 years. And Charles has lived in Monaco and Italy and spoken probably mostly French and Italian, which good for him. But it's just when it comes to like doing sketch and stand up comedy, that is just a natural disadvantage, obviously. I think actually, I also think he could be if they brought him in for someone super accurate. Like I can't think who it would be, but if they brought him in for someone super accurate on SNL UK, I actually think he could do like a character. He could do a character. I bet you he could do a character. That he would be hilarious on that. And I think that he is willing he's not always willing to make fun of himself, but he's willing to make fun of himself enough for sure. And I also think that I will say to give Lando a sliver of credit. When he is does media stuff away from the paddock environment, he is far more like he's far less like defensive, you know what I mean? That was rough. He would buy in and he yeah. Yeah. Oscar, I feel like could also be good at like something like the weekend update that's like very structured and dry. So good. The cadence. No, a lot of the green M&M is it a lot many people have tried to do the Tucker cadence, and usually it's distinct enough that like even if you get halfway there, it's still funny. This man, it is so uncanny. It's good. I'm a big fan of that one. I like SNL. I mean, I feel like people, yeah, like I feel like there's a lot of survivorship bias in SNL when they're like, "Oh, it's better during this or X or Y or Z." But when you just remember the good skits, like, and the ones like we always remember. Yeah, yeah. I think the reality of a sketch show and really any comedy show that like comes out like weekly, like, and you just need to come up with stuff like always, there are going to be some hits and some misses. And I feel like that's kind of the nature of, because if you only do like perfectly prepackaged things, like that's just like a sitcom, you know what I mean? I feel like it's supposed to be a little bit more, I want them to like take risks and like try different, and also like there are different audiences. There's probably some things that people find hilarious that I'm like, I don't get that, and vice versa. So I it's not always my fave, but especially when they have a good guest. I also think it's so interesting that in an age of like the fluffy podcast interviews, I do like that we can still get celebrities to like do something like interesting, and to get them to participate in like sketch comedy is kind of crazy to me. Like there's a lot of, I would be so scared if I was a celebrity and like they invited me to go on SNL, I would want to do it because I'm like a big fan of the show. I would be so, especially the monologue, like getting up there and doing stand-up comedy, if you've never done it, is like that I could not think of something more terrifying. No. But like I would hate that cuz like I know if it's, oh, wait, who was it? I actually am writing this down so I can watch that cuz like I know I have it, and I I would bomb like I so it's I feel like most people do fine, but even the ones that, the thing about the monologue is even when it's just the thing about a stand-up comedy like that specifically is like unless you like crush it, it's like a little awkward. Oh. I see what they were trying. I see what they were here's the thing. I that is a specific niche joke about the OC and also other, there was a period of time like 90210 where like every like Gossip Girl genre of show, the OC had like the saddest, most heart wrenching moment of the show, and like they would sing that song and like do a really dramatic montage, and it was almost like it became a musical for kind of no reason, and everyone would joke. So I see like what they were trying to do. What? Oh my god, yeah, of course. See, exactly. See, like I get the trope they were trying to play on, but it wasn't 4 minutes funny, you know what I mean? No, I found it funny for the first 30 seconds to a minute of the performance, and then I was like, I actually wanna but also, here's the thing, I don't know if there's any, like, I don't think there, well, right, exactly. I was like, I don't think there's, but in that vein, I don't think that there's anything they could have done in that cold open that would have, like, you know what I mean? Like, that's a tough spot to be. Like, in fairness, it really wasn't funny at all. So, like, what are you gonna do? Okay, actually, you know what? I take it back because that's actually, no, no, it couldn't have been, but that is actually the funniest. Was that skit? No, I agree. It I think he used ChatGPT to write that. I read the whole thing, and let me tell you, it was Alistair Campbell is correct, far too long. Here's the thing, like, he's right about the fact that like they have no like the Keir Starmer's problem is that he like cannot articulate a vision, and he just spends every day like confronting problems of his own making, basically. But at the same time, he presents no vision himself other than the same like generic platitudes that you could find on the average congressional candidate's website. And or sorry, you know what I mean. Um the and like and then and I will say ex- there are a few places where I do like agree with him policy wise, but every other paragraph. So there's like probably 10 paragraphs about his policy vision for labor, which again is so Gordon Brown articulated more specific and expansive policy proposals in an article where he's trying to take down Prince Andrew for being a sex trafficker, and it was like an incidental like third to last paragraph. But in these 10 paragraphs of generic platitudes, sort of hinting at like a policy POV, every other paragraph is just like AI, 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 AI. We should like actually all be sucking Larry Ellison's dick. Pay no attention to the fact that he's like giving me billions of dollars. And like, oh, by the way, like, you know, when I said like we should help Trump bomb Iran and then like denied it. Actually, no, I do think we should be nicer to Trump. But I will say, people are being a little hard on him on that because he doesn't say anything. Like, it's like we need America's satellites, like whether we like it or not, because we're not prepared to spend what we need to spend on our military to not need America. So we're going to have to accept that we need to get with the program to an extent, which is an objectively true statement, but one that the labor government should probably not say out loud. The but even so, it's like you of like to release the thesis of this again far too long manifesto is that you guys should actually be more like me. That's what he said. It was Tony Blair. I'm not saying that Tony Blair is it like pre World War II. Oh, it's Harold Wilson. Come on, that was good. Uh, uh, I He said you're not fucking with my vacation, and I respect that. I do. But Tony Blair is the least like self-aware person. Or back a guy like here's a thought, Tony Blair. Find a protege. If you really want to influence labor and you have this brilliant find someone who agrees with your brilliant vision for America or for sorry, for Britain. and support them or get back into politics yourself if you really want to, but you can't do that because everyone hates you because have spent the last 30 years cosplaying a half Deloitte consultant and half colonial governor all across the Middle East. Like, fuck off and enjoy your Larry Ellison millions. Or just take the Alistair Campbell, like, be a, like, you, like, start a podcast where you talk about, like, what Yes. No, I could tell that did not have an editor because it was far too long and rambling, and he repeated himself several times. Tony Blair cheats on his wife with adult women, okay, and Scottish men that are slightly smarter than him. That is different. It just is. It's not interns. I mean, technically, Gordon Brown was like, anyway. They, oh, imagine being Alistair Campbell and imagine being Alistair Campbell and setting aside everything you believe in to suck up to Richard Murdoch to win an election, which was the right thing to do. But and then Tony Blair ruins all of it by banging his wife. I would be apocalyptic. I put in so much work with this man that I fucking hate just for you to fuck his wife. You whore. It's not enough that I read to you while you jerk off in the bath. Kidding. Yeah. Oh, and now they're doing Condé Nast. Yeah. And like they also got duped by Bernie Ecclestone. I'm like, you're just Tony Blair's just the most trickable person on earth. But like the absolute, I mean, I don't know. I also like, yes, I have similar policy disagreements with both Bill Clinton and Tony Blair, but I also they both won in a moment where it was a little bit do the and in a moment where it was like a little bit do or die for the movement that they represented. And like I am a little bit it's also like that's like I feel the same way about like people have like a lot of criticisms like of Obama and like the platform that he like originally ran on. And I'm like, here's the thing though, like he won. And like that, like he Obama wasn't like anti-gay marriage for no reason. Like unfortunately, no. My favorite thing in the world though is to explain the Iowa caucus system to people that are not American. It's my favorite hobby of all time. Yeah. The rest forever. Also, women are just charged more, period. That's why yeah. I also think, like I think the same way about, like, how, like yeah, like, Gordon Brown is much more closely aligned to my own now. I don't know as much about then, but aligned to my own political beliefs. And I also think he like has a much more genuine like policy framework through which he views the world than Tony Blair does. But at the end of the day, the like Alistair Campbell made a judgment call and it was the right one, and that was that Gordon Brown is really awkward on TV and kind of unpersonable and like hate and gets really like grumpy and antagonistic when you like ask him to be personable. And unfortunately, that is the most important thing for the candidate to be. Well, but to be fair, Tony Blair is just like the most insufferable person on earth. So like I do get it. Yeah, like moment. No, it was under them, which is crazy. Oh, that is that is what? Well, it's because nobody was alive that's when, and also again, like he is become perhaps the most unlikable person of all time. So yeah, yeah. Yeah, and like I will say David Cameron obviously legalized gay marriage, but like it was Blair who like equalized like civil partnerships, like you got the same like benefits from both, and like the age of consent disparity, and like there were a bunch of other like practical like things that were being used to persecute gay people that they like systematically and pretty thoroughly worked to get rid of. Like I yeah, like and also that's the thing, it's like small changes do matter, and often like they're the things that end up mattering most in the end. And also it it like that's why like just win is important, because even if it's like okay, like this person isn't gonna push for this like really huge thing that I want, like all of the good. Yeah, I also think like wins on like getting wins on the margins is maybe the only thing that's like ever like it pushes like, and also like the willingness to do that like makes me like you a little bit, like not like you necessarily, but like take you a little bit more seriously. And also well, I don't know exactly, it's just more fun. And but I will say yeah, no, the Tony like the Tony Blair manifesto is so crazy, like how like like why, my other thing is why like he's wading into this like labor dispute, like are also you not you like about 6 months after it started, because you think that you if you wait long enough, people won't remember that, like, Peter Mandelson is the reason you this all started, and you have not said a fucking word about that, about how your best friend was leaking. Call Alistair Campbell, buy a diary. Like, I go on the pod and talk about how crazy it was that your bestie was flouncing around in pedophile merch and also flying around the world with Prince Andrew and a pedophile, um, ostensibly doing the job that you appointed him to, and also he's leaking insider information to the bank that you're sitting on the board of when you, Gordon Brown, and Alistair Campbell all say in your books that you were also advising Gordon Brown at that time. What are your emails with Jamie Dimon like? And also, what like what's you were palling around like I think that like listen, obviously there is no direct like Tony Blair like tie to Epstein really. Like I don't think him like Peter Mandelson getting him a meeting at Downing Street, like you know what I mean? But you were besties with Bill Clinton and Larry Summers and Bill Gates, and you're palling around with all the JP Morgan people. Like, any comment on that? But the thing is, it's like I don't actually think he is, but like what it is like almost worse. Not almost, it's not worse, but it's like you. I think Tony Blair like lives like genuinely. I think he did. They just don't like. He's just happy to like have these like the Peter Mandelson thing of it all is interesting, but none of them will ever really account for the full like what was up with that like with him like genuinely. But well, that's the thing. Like, if you're not gonna, I may not have liked. I will say, Alistair Campbell, to his credit, I did not love his reaction. It was not like anything like truly bad. Not as bad as coming out and being like, "We should help Trump bomb Iran." But he actually like accounted for it, and like you can see him like working through it. And I didn't. He said a couple things that I was like, he made another video the next day being like, I wanted to come on here and say that like my reaction was bad. Like I'm so and like listen, I get it. Like you had like a 40-year, like very up and down and on and off like relationship, like a very complicated relationship with this person. You found out like all of this crazy extra background context, like whatever. At least like and also he immediately was like, "Yeah, like whatever." Like he was so instantly willing to talk about it, and that like is I that's the way to go about it if you like really genuinely feel that way. And it was kind of the same thing with Gordon Brown. Like he immediately, when this came out about Peter Mandelson, like began writing essays about how he should be in prison. I mean, that's qualified. We talked about it. We did the whole George thing. We talked about Charles and Lewis. Good job, Pierre. And Liam Lawson, P10. Shout out. All right. Oh, how do you? Oh, there we go. And all right. And then on my YouTube.